the first frame of that video is like super important. So if you can communicate some kind of message and open up someone's curiosity, like literally with the first frame, like you see someone standing with a red and green flag and text saying, your man wants to merge bank accounts, then you gotta want to stick around to see what's happening.
Welcome back to the Cypress Room, where we dive deep on influencing with integrity. I am Christina Mascari.
And I'm Maggie Honeycutt.
And we are back with, I think, one of our favorite things to do on the podcast, which is do a remote interview with a content creator. And we have a fun one for you guys today. Our first non-DIY content creator. We want to welcome to the Cypress Room, JC Rodriguez.
What's up, guys? Thank you for having me on. It's an honor to be in the Cypress Room. I'm excited to jump into the nitty-gritty details of being in the finance niche and talking about money online.
Yep.
Ooh, we're a little scared, but it's going to be good. It's going to be good. You guys stick around. And make sure you stick around to the end of the episode because, of course, we're going to be talking about our favorite things. JC has brought a favorite thing. But before we jump into the interview, Maggie is going to share a little bit about JC in case you don't know him or you haven't seen his content before.
Yes. So for those of you who don't already know JC Rodriguez is a full-time creator making videos about personal finance for young adults. He hits the most relevant topics for that demographic, from paying for college to choosing a spouse to paying for your wedding. His entertaining interviews and lifestyle content has garnered a following of 1.4 million people across several platforms. This year, he's making some changes to his brand and taking a pay cut in order to make his creator business more sustainable, which we're so excited to hear more about that. So welcome, JC, to the Cypress Room.
I don't know about you, but I'm hooked after that bio. I can't.
Yes.
Yeah, this is great for retention.
Yeah. Well, so a lot of our audience is DIYers. So we wanted to bring somebody in that's in a completely different space. And I love that you're, a younger person. We're a little bit seasoned and we're over the 40s here in the Cypress Room. So we'd love to have young creators on here. We had Lily, the furniture doctor, and she's become a full-time creator in the past year. So I would just love to start out talking about how did you become a full-time creator? Has this been a fast process? And let us know how old you are, because I've already called you out as being young.
Yeah, you're good. I'm 24 years old. I am what you call a digital native. So I grew up with social media and learning about getting Instagram when I was 13 or something, and just being on YouTube since 2007 and watching videos. So that was always something I enjoy. I made videos with my brothers. We try to be funny, make skits. But I always thought YouTuber creator was just some far-fetched dream and nothing really tangible. It wasn't until I graduated high school, I went on a mission for my church for 2 years. And the guys in the white shirts and ties biking around, knocking on doors, that was me.
Okay.
Yeah, I did it in Las Vegas, of all places. So I feel I built up my confidence a lot on this trip, where, I'm approaching strangers, getting rejected all the time, but overcoming
that's such a good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then coming back home and realizing, wow, with this newfound confidence and I can make outcomes happen in my life. And, I can actually do this YouTube thing. And I started watching these creators, asking people on the street, what song are you listening to? And I remember that was a big trend. And I'm wow, these kids are awkward out here on the street. So I can probably do this maybe a little bit better and a little bit more, and in a way that adds more value to people. And so that's where I ended up, deciding to make my street interviews and the videos I make about the finance niche, just personal finance.
So when you started out, what platform were you on first?
Yeah, I was on YouTube. And
Okay.
At first I was trying to make long form videos. So if you go deep down in the depths of my my videos, you'll find me on a college campus with a really cheap microphone I rented from the library and a camera I rented from the library, and asking students about their loans, student debt already. And this was probably early 2020, just as the street interview thing was kicking off.
Well, so tell us, how did you land on personal finance as kind of your way to add value? Was that something that you'd kind of always been interested in? Was it your background and your degree? Kind of tell us a little bit more about that, because it's, I would say, a little bit unusual for somebody as young as yourself to be passionate about personal finance.
Yeah, so I'm first generation American. My parents are Filipino. They came here to America and they didn't know anything about finance. They made some mistakes, and then my dad had a long commute to his work at the time, and he turned on the radio and he started listening to Dave Ramsey, the Ramsey Show.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
So I kind of grew up on that, like watching my parents apply the principles, start really being taught about my wants versus my needs, and about like the value of money and work ethic. And I grew up on it. I didn't think I would have a career in finance. I started off as a pre-med major, like most Asian Americans, and then I switched over to finance finally when I realized that was something I could probably see myself in a career doing for the rest of my life.
Okay, so you say you started on YouTube. I'm curious how your strategy and content creation evolved kind of as times changed and short form became more prevalent. And how has that changed where you spend your time now?
Yeah, so man, YouTube flopped. That's why I went to TikTok after.
Hey, you tried, man. I always preach long format content, but you tried and you're like, maybe let's try something else. So it just like goes to show, like, don't give up if the first thing doesn't work. So tell us more about this transition to TikTok.
Yeah, so when I switched over to TikTok, I feel like I always had like just these ideas come to my head that my friends would always enjoy watching, and TikTok is good and short form is good as like your initial motivator to know like, hey, I could see myself doing this, or I can start doing this, because you get feedback a lot faster. Like if your video is bad, it won't get views. If it is slightly good or better, you see the return on the views right away. And I can't see it as like a long-term game, like a long-term play, but in the short term, if you just want to get some momentum going, like shorts are nice. And that's what was helpful for me starting off. And that was my first source of income, was from short form.
Tell us about your concept of your red flag, green flag, because I feel like that's something that you're known for. And if anybody hasn't seen his content, we'll put a little clip right here so you can see it. But you'll just ask those basic questions like red flag or green flag, having a joint checking account with your spouse. And you just interview these people and they'll be like, oh, that's a green flag. You should have your, finances combined. Is that something that you came up with, or is that something that's like out in the content creation world that you saw that you're like, hey, I can emulate this for finance?
I can confidently say that I started that trend. From the start of my short form, I've always like I did a lot of formats before I ended up doing red flag, green flag too. That went well. And I realized the trend with a good format is that you're asking a question that the audience can play along with. Like someone at home could answer the question of like, is merging bank accounts a red or green flag? They can actually answer that themselves. And also, I realized people on TikTok and short form love having a visual, because in any short form video, the first frame of that video is like super important. So if you can communicate some kind of message and open up someone's curiosity, like literally with the first frame, like you see someone standing with a red and green flag and text saying, your man wants to merge bank accounts, then I don't want to stick around to see what's happening here.
She gets her nails done like once a week.
Yeah.
And I love how I feel. The thing I love about those interviews, yes, it sucks me in because I'm answering the question myself. And then when I don't agree with that person, I'm like, well, why would they think that's okay? Or like, yeah, I agree with them. That's right. So you're like, I have a buy-in with who you're interviewing, but then it also just takes it to a place of, hey, we all have different opinions. And because sometimes I think we get in such an echo chamber, we're around people that are so much like us. We're like, well, nobody would get their nails done twice a month, but there are people that do. And so hearing their opinion as to why they're like, well, that's okay because that's her favorite thing to do and she's making this much money. And instead of going to the movies, she gets her nails done, you know? So it's just like having that perception that instead of just saying, well, that's different than me. So no, you give more context. You really bring us into the story. And I love that.
Yeah.
Sometimes even making a video, you leave a little context out just because you want the comments to finish the conversation, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to ask you next. Like, how much engagement do you have in the comment section on videos like that, on the red flag, green flag ones?
Yeah, a ton. Thankfully, the videos that do well are my most reasonable interviews and like the actual logical people.
Good.
Thankfully, because I'm like, I didn't want a culture of like, let's just roast this person for what they say.
Yeah.
I even tell the people before I interview them, like, hey, if you say anything like bad or you feel like you're awkward about something, like we'll cut it out because I don't want you to look bad. But either way, comments will still pull out something.
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
make
They always do.
awkward or
Yeah.
not. But the videos themselves they're basically just conversation starters, like with the prompt that I give them. It gets the person talking, but it also just gets the comments going as well. So that they're very, very engaging, very interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. So 2020, you get a lot of traction on TikTok and you say, okay, I think I have something here. What is the next step to move forward in making it a career for you?
Yeah, so I was kind of lone wolfing it for a time, just learning as I go. I think one of the biggest things I learned about the creator economy and being a creator is that it's really important to talk to people who are in the industry as well, and to even like work for other creators just to get that mentorship and to see someone that's actually making a career out of it. So thankfully someone DM'd me asking me to help shoot some content for a page about like helping college students navigate, getting textbooks cheaper or like just navigating just college life. And I was able to help another page grow a lot outside of my own. But I also had a really great mentor throughout that time who owned that social media page, teach me about like monetizing, show me how to negotiate brand deals and how to do outbound outreach and also handling inbound emails too. So that was super helpful for me. So I would say for anyone who's looking to break in, to put yourself out there and be willing to help other creators just so that you can learn from them.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm curious too, as you've, gone on year to year, how have you changed your content strategy? Like, are you just repurposing content across platforms? Do you create different content for different platforms? Kind of, I guess, when you're creating tell us a little bit more about that strategy.
Yeah. I pretty much repurposed everything.
Yeah.
Like it worked. Thankfully the formats worked across most platforms. So literally TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram all kind of just grew up together too. So right now, like the TikTok's at like 500,000 followers, and then the YouTube channel's at like 500,000 subscribers, and then Instagram's at 140K just from repurposing. But now that I'm going into long form, of course, that's like a completely different monster.
So are you back to long form now? Are you delving back into long form more?
Yeah, I've been dabbling the last month. I signed up for like a group coaching program for YouTube long form called Channel Jumpstart.
Okay.
And I'm learning a lot more about like just the strategies behind like optimizing a video, planning it, and also learning about targeting an audience. And yeah, just giving myself a better strategy overall.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to rewind back to you saying YouTube was a flop in the beginning. Tell us a little bit more about that, because when I was watching your long form content, it looked to me like it had been successful. Has that just been over time that you've kind of gotten those numbers? And I really enjoyed your long form videos too. I love the one about you trying to pay for your wedding and interviewing people about how much they spent for their wedding. So I guess take us through that YouTube journey too of why you thought it was a flop and now you've decided to kind of go back and focus on that a little more.
Yeah, I would say this is probably some of my mistakes I made as a creator. I feel like I did have videos that like performed really well. Like there was one where I went to Harvard and I asked students about their student loan debt. And for some reason, I just didn't, I didn't like look at that video and analyze what I did right and then like apply it to another video. Like I look back, I'm like, why didn't I just keep going with that? Why didn't I go to Stanford and do the same thing or like MIT? So that was just a big learning curve for me. So now I am trying to approach it in a different way where I actually analyze and adjust content based off like what I did in the past.
Okay.
But also a short form content was what was paying me at the time as well.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think that's also what can distract you from like a longer term play.
Yeah. And but you're a finance guy, so like when you are in TikTok and you're hot on TikTok and you're hot on short form content, you can get really big brand deals. But the long game is having that passive income from those videos that are going to live for a long time on YouTube. And I talk about being a YouTube dinosaur. I've been creating long form content since like 2014. Consistently since 2019. And I had like a really good ride where I had some videos that were paying me really well. And I'm on kind of the downside of that. So I'm not making as much money as I used to make, but I'm still with making 2 videos a month, really. I'm making around $4,000 a month, which is pretty good for 2 videos.
Oh, yeah.
And I tell people like I could stop today and I would still make some residual income for a while until those videos completely die off. So it's just a different beast than that short form, but you can get some really, really good brand deals out of short form, especially if it's very successful like you. I mean, I saw some of your YouTube shorts have 60 million views, 30 million views. Can you talk to us about, are you part of the partner program for YouTube and are earning on those shorts?
Yeah, the YouTube Shorts program, I'm part of that. And it's been like a nice little bonus each month, to be honest. And I think it only works that way, though, if your videos do go like super viral. Like,
yeah, you have to get millions and millions of views. Yeah.
Yeah, that. So yeah, with shorts, probably I'll earn around like an extra like 2,000 a month.
That's awesome.
That is.
And from other months prior, it'd be like 4K to 5K, like just a little bonus when something
takes off.
Yeah, when something takes off.
See, that's amazing.
It's amazing. Now tell us, for those, I never saw the answer. Did you pay for your wedding with AdSense revenue from YouTube? Did you make your goal?
It was probably a third AdSense, and then the other 2/3 was the brand deal stuff.
Oh, okay.
So it was from like making videos.
That's awesome. Well, tell us a little bit more about your income streams and how, as you've grown as a creator, have you diversified them? How have you diversified your income streams, I guess? Tell us a little bit about your strategy with that.
Yeah, so that's been what I've been working on right now. The thing was with brand deals, it's really easy to see it as like a really not stable format, like way of earning money. You can make it more stable, which is what I've been doing, is like by thinking of getting brand deals. It's not like a feast and famine type of thing, because it's easy to be like, oh, I scored a brand deal, and then you just don't look out for any more. And then you get paid, and then you're like broke for the next 3 months because the sales cycle. Yeah, the sales cycle takes like 3 months until you finally get paid. So I always treated getting brand deals like, they say, like an escalator, where like you're constantly like finishing brand deals, but still like getting more, as like still doing outreach at the same time. And so I've been able to make like a consistent income. And my goal last year was to always earn at least $15K a month, like revenue gross from brand deals. And I was able to do that thanks to like me reaching out, my personal connections, and also I have a manager too that helps seek out brand deals for me too. So it's funny, like short form brand deal brand deals have been my stable income while I'm like trying to figure out the long form and other forms of income too. So yeah, it's probably like 80% brand deals or 75, 80.
Well, and I'm interested in breaking down your brand deal because the most success I'm having in brand deals right now is people licensing that deal probably for like 30 to 60 days, basically as a commercial where they push it out for paid. But you have such a big following and you have some really big views. Are you seeing that trend where they're using your stuff for licensing, or are you just able to command a big dollar because of the type of views that you get?
I think, yeah, towards the end of last year, it was mainly just from showing the viewership, showing my audience.
Okay.
But most companies do tag that on as well too, like letting them use the video for their own push in their own pages as well too.
Okay, we get really vulnerable on here, so I'm gonna ask you if you could give us a range of what a partnership looks like for you, what you're able to command right now for a short form video.
So right now my standard is I pitch out like 4,500 for like one short or like one TikTok.
Okay.
And then to cross post, we'll add premiums or whatever onto that as well too. It's been tougher though lately. The brand deal scene is not as hot.
No, it isn't.
So maybe like 4,500 now would be like cross posted on like Instagram and TikTok.
Right. Yeah. Have you had any brand deals come through on Brand Connect through your YouTube studio?
No.
You haven't? Okay. That is a place where the bigger brands are finding creators. I got 2 last year, and I just watched a video with Colin and Samir. I don't know if you follow the podcast, but they have like the best guests on there.
Yes.
And they had your mom, Ashley, on there. I hope I'm saying that right. She's a younger creator. And she was talking about like, I think she had one with Gatorade and maybe Nike. And she said all of those came through Brand Connect. And I was like, okay, which kind of makes sense because they have so much access on the back end of YouTube. We found out a lot of things. Like a lot of people who watch me are very into hair care, which you would never know that, but a brand can come look at me that's a big hair care brand that we know those brands spend a lot of money and could be like, well, she doesn't normally talk about this, but her audience is really into this, so let's hire her and license the content and push it out on YouTube. So a lot of those brand deals on Brand Connect are licensing deals too for 6 months of Google commercials. So those were my biggest brand deals last year, and I just basically sat there and they came to me. Like all I was doing was feeding my channel and showing up on my channel, and those came. So I'm hoping that's another trend for this year.
Yeah, here I am taking notes.
There's nothing you can do to like push yourself out there though on Brand Connect. You just have to turn it on and but we had 2 really nice ones come through with big brands last year. And I was like, okay, if I could just get a couple more of those this year, that would be really nice. But I'm just sitting around waiting.
That's true. I mean,
just have to keep making content.
That's what people like who are trying to monetize should keep in mind is that the best deals, and probably most of them are all going to be inbound, just coming to you. And just by you focusing on your content and like staying on top of it, like that's where your deals will come from. Like even though you do outreach a lot of times, like there's such a small percentage that actually turns into a brand deal.
Yeah, well, I want to talk to you about having a manager because I'm kind of in negotiations to sign a manager this year and just try it out because I've never done it before. Have they brought you a lot of business, or do you find more help in them negotiating and keeping track of the deal for you?
To be honest, it is mainly just the time saving of the negotiating and keeping track of the deals. Thankfully for me, my manager isn't like, I don't have to put everything like through her. If I can source out my own deals to my own friends or whatnot, like I just let her know like, hey, they're exclusive to these. So, which is like rare for most brand managers because most people want you to, show them everything that you're working on. Like, every deal to go through them.
Yeah, I've heard both sides. So I don't know if that's changing a little bit too. I've heard of a lot lately that are not signing exclusive, and they're like, if this comes to me and I want you to negotiate it, I'll share it with you. But if I think I can do it on my own, I'm going to do it on my own. Which is kind of nice because if it's coming in your inbound, and you feel like you can negotiate it on your own, it's kind of nice to be able to do that and have the freedom to do that. So
let me be honest, I don't know if I'm going to keep up with like having a manager throughout this year.
Okay, that's good news because I haven't signed yet.
Yeah.
So I'm like, and I had a lawyer look at the contract. I'd never have lawyers look at contract, but this one I was like, this is a lot to commit to a year and to commit to a percentage of everything that comes in. I mean, it is a big gamble. So
what I was thinking was just having a lawyer just overlook whatever contracts or brand deals I get, and then just to go through that for me, because that's probably all you probably need.
Yeah, but man, I feel you living in this land of brand deals and relying on somebody else and their budgets to have your career is a little challenging, because I'm just going to be honest. I have a brand partnership that just ended that I thought I had signed for the year, and they had budget constraints and it just got cut. And that was like, it's going to change how my whole year looks now.
Yeah.
But you're this is why you have to diversify those income streams, because you're at the mercy of a lot of other people when you do this content creation thing. You have to be very flexible. And I have learned definitely over this past week, if not over the past couple of years, that your identity cannot be bound and your success cannot be bound to the amount of money you're making, because you literally have no control over it.
Yep. Mm-hmm. That's why I was even saying, like, this year I'm down to like take a pay cut from what I was making last year if that's what it takes to build something that would keep me in the game longer. So like I'm rolling off my savings from my last year's brand deals. I still have a couple more coming in too, but now I really want to hone on like building a community, building the long form content, and then like monetizing outside of just relying on brand deals.
I think that is really wise of you to be forward thinking enough that you can, in the short term, say, okay, I might be putting in a little more work with a little less return, but I'm doing this because in the long run, it's going to benefit me more. I think that's really smart. And does that also tie in with you? I saw that you put on some of your platforms that you're delving into some lifestyle content maybe this year. Tell us a little bit more about that and how that is part of your like long-term strategy.
Yeah, so street interviews are cool and all. Like, there's a lot of pros. It's easy to just blow up a page or make yourself relevant with that. But people aren't watching for you if they're watching a street interview of yours. They're watching for the person you're interviewing and what they're saying. They don't care about you. They don't know who the heck you are. So even if I put something out that's like engaging or I have a call to action, to be honest, the conversion is really low because it's a lot of views, but no one is invested in the creator or the personality. So that's why I'm like, you know what, let me just share more of me. And without like being a finance creator that talks about things that I have no experience or credibility talking about, like, let me just talk about the things I know about, which is like living frugally, you know, just saving money, building a budget, and like managing finances with like a spouse, as you know, just like being a young adult, you know, paying for college, things like that. So this year I'm going to share more of that online through just like funny stuff, like funny meme posts through my YouTube videos, and hopefully the audience likes me. And I am totally cool with seeing like subscriber or follower accounts go down, because that's just filtering out like who actually is in there to stick around.
That's where I'm at right now. I don't know. My views on my YouTube are down too, but I just find lately that the people that are engaging with me are just so sweet and are, you know, I've never painted anything, but I love watching you every week, and I'm so glad that you're still making videos. And I'm trying to go deeper this year with people and get out of that mindset of I've got to have all these views and I got to have the biggest subscriber count, because we were just saying subscriber count and followers is out for 2024. Nobody cares anymore. It's not real. We've had such an influx with the short form content of, like you said, people like the content, but they don't know you. They don't like you. They're not in relationship with you. And yeah, we just want to go deeper instead of wider this year. So I love that that's kind of on your heart too, because you're a creator that I love, and I love following you because of you. but I guess I met you first in person before I found your content. So maybe that's why I feel that way about you. But I hope that we're moving in that direction in the creator space that, you don't want to just like consume candy. You want to have like a steak and a potato and sit down and have a meal with someone. So I don't know. We'll see.
What's funny too is the finance creators I talk to, they're going from using like a DSLR mirrorless camera and just going back to their phones. After they upgraded all their gear, and now we're at a point where like, we're trying to dial back down and be more relatable and more like you're just talking to a friend on the phone.
Yeah.
So we're like going back on our technology. Like my last video that like blew up was just on my iPhone 11. And it's still
I love to hear it. That's such an encouragement for people starting out too. You don't have to have all these things. All you need to be is yourself, because your personality, who you are, is going to appeal to someone. And I hope that viewers feel the same way about that too, that they don't have to be some sort of, we want them here for who they are.
Yeah. And I was watching something 2024 predictions, and they were saying people are hungry for lo-fi content. Like they just want you filming on your phone, talking conversationally, creating connection points. And so I think that's interesting that you just said that as well, because that's a confirmation that it doesn't have to be so polished as maybe some of the creators have been in the past. Like people like the kind of raw, off the cuff, relatable moments.
Yeah, I'm getting a little tired of everyone trying to look like Alex Hormozy on Instagram.
I know that was the thing that I was seeing too. I think I saw it on Think Media that those quick cuts and the zoom in and zoom out on all those podcast clips, that people are just like really sick of that. I'm like, okay, that works for us because we're doing that. We are a bootstrap, low budget podcast.
Yeah.
We're here for the content, not for the like.
Yeah, just one angle.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you though, like when you're sharing, like you said, about personal budgeting and finance and stuff, is your goal, as this is what I took away when I watched your content, you're not necessarily giving people a prescription. It's almost like you're just saying, here's how I do it. Is that your goal? I mean, when you say finance, to me, I go to Dave Ramsey. Like, that's what I think, where he's telling people, like, here's how you budget, like, here's how you invest. And you seem to kind of have a different angle. So I was curious to hear more about that.
I'm glad you tagged on to that, because that's exactly what I think, because I never wanted to pitch myself as like the expert or brand myself as the expert on this thing, because I'm 24 years old and I wanted to come across as like I'm learning these things with my audience. And that's why I'll share like what I'm doing. And then I'll also share through these interviews, like, these are what these people are doing. Now it's your choice to like choose what works for you, Yeah. So I'm just giving people options to choose from and letting them think for themselves, because I there's like this, everyone wants to go big just by telling a camera, like, you have to do this thing. And they want to make these real black and white rules to things. And of course, it gets a lot of engagement because it polarizes a lot of people. But nah, that's not my style.
Well, I just loved your simple tip the other day that you put up about these are the things I learned about international travel, and this is what I would do differently next time. Like your whole thing about just the credit card fees. I'm like, yeah, I would have never thought about that. So it's just like as easy as checking in with your bank or making sure that you have the right credit card before you're going to travel. Like that makes so much sense.
Yeah. Personally, I liked when you gave yourself a haircut.
Yeah. It's going viral, isn't it?
Yeah, and I was at like 10 million views now. Crazy.
I'm sure all the hairdressers are coming at you though. Well, we have to work. Yes, everybody has to work, but I get to decide what I want to spend my money on.
Yeah.
Too.
Oh, it's so funny.
It's so funny.
Especially on like Facebook too, like going off.
Oh man.
Well, I want to hear, okay, so you've done so many man on the street type interviews. I want you to share with us like maybe something that really surprised you after interviewing all these people, maybe a funny story of a man on the street interview. I kind of want to hear some behind the scenes info on what that kind of whole experience was like.
Yeah. Okay. So some exclusive insights to how these street interviews happen. My pitch to them is I see them walking to me. I tell them, hey, we make videos to help kids learn about finances. And we're doing a fun one today asking about like red and green flags with money. And usually that works like 80% of the time because everyone wants to help kids learn about finances. So once they're there, I like prep them. I kind of tell them like an example. I'll be like, yeah, I'll ask something like, they always buying the newest iPhone. And you tell me if that's a red or green flag. And then we start recording from there. I've had people, I had this one like old British man like tell me like crazy things about how he deals with money and with his wife and like how they navigate finances together. How like, oh no, never let her look at the bank account, or it'll be like just I don't know, just a really off the cuff stuff, and like how he never bought her like an engagement ring, but also he like supports her with everything, and like he was actually like a rich guy that earned a bunch of McDonald's franchises. And after the interview, I didn't know if what he was telling me was the truth or if he was just joking around. And his like son-in-law was there, and he's like, yeah, he's kind of a interesting fella, but everything he told you was true.
Wow.
And so
I guess you never know what's going to come out of someone's mouth when you're doing street interviews. It's a risk.
But to be honest, I love talking to like older people about their finances. First, they have the experience to like say interesting things, so that's why I just kind of leave college campuses from doing these interviews. I'll just go to some other public area and find like older, more experienced people. Oh, I did interview a lot of people who have had like really expensive weddings. That's something I've also found, like $250K, like $250,000 weddings.
Did they regret it, or were they happy they did it?
They were happy. And the thing is, like a lot of them too, like their parents like paid for it all as well. So just a lot of interesting situations, and you can tell. I know now like what areas I'm in around Orlando, like the kinds of answers I'm gonna get.
That's funny.
Yep, it's definitely upper middle class here.
Okay.
So if you were mentoring somebody early on in their content creation journey, what would be your advice to that person who's just starting out?
Great question. This actually, I'm going to segue into another weird interview thing. I interviewed Colin and Samir.
No.
Need to know creator education like twice, like 2 different occasions.
Wow.
How did that happen? And is it on it's on your channel?
It was on the college page that I filmed for. But first time I met them was at South by Southwest in Austin, Texas, like a big conference there. And I didn't know who the heck they were, but everyone was like crazy about seeing them in like 2020 and 2022. And then I interviewed them again at like VidCon or something. So,
awesome.
That is really cool.
But 2 guys who are really good with beginner creator education for people watching. So I would say my advice to anyone starting off is to, when you're thinking of like, because I think the ideas in your videos are the most important, like over the quality, over the retention hacking you try to do, but just like having a good concept. I think a great way to think of concepts that you can use is by just watching videos outside of your niche, seeing what formats they're doing, and then see like if you see this, like a video from like a car creator, and they have like this cool concept, think to yourself like, how can I be like the finance version of that? Like bring that concept to your niche or whatever topic you care about. So I think that's a great way to like find ideas. And my next piece of advice would just be to lead your brand with your personality first, and like be okay if it's not like super high views or you're not going viral. That's something I would do differently. Like I wish I was just patient enough to stick with the long form, because that was literally 3 years ago. And so by this point, it should be popping. So start right away with that.
Yeah, that's great. I think that's great advice.
Well, let's talk a little bit about you're a young newlywed,
Yes.
right? Like, when did you get married?
I got married last March.
Oh my gosh.
So you're
Okay.
coming up on 1
Coming in up a
year.
year, yeah.
So you're in the throes of marriage, the beginning of that. We know how interesting and challenging that is to be creating a life with someone and a home and all that. And so can you tell us about, it's Ashleah?
Yes.
You said it right
Yeah.
earlier, right? Ashleah.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about y'all's relationship and how she's a support person for this crazy job that you have and how you guys make this work with it not be necessarily the most stable career? and like, how does she feel about it and how does she support you in this whole journey?
Man, okay, yeah. I love it.
Loaded question. We real deep here in the Cypress Room.
No, Ashley has always had a lot of confidence in me and like I don't know, just my character, my person, my skills, whatever. But even when I first told her that, hey, I see these people online and they're doing these street interviews and I think I can do a better job. We were dating at the time and she told me like, yeah, you can do a way better job. And I told her like, hey, I want to get back into like being a creator and making videos again. And she's like, yeah, you should definitely do that. So she was always supportive from the beginning. Just me in college. I started making the videos while I was like working for Papa John's. Like I was a delivery driver and I would like, so she pushed me. And while I was driving from pizza store to house, I would listen to podcasts about like the creator economy and about like making videos and all that. And then as we progressed along, like she's always been one, she helps me film. So a lot of the street interviews, she's actually holding the camera. Little side note there. And also she's like a great filter to run my videos through as well as we're watching, because like she's a consumer. Sometimes I look over her shoulder, see what she's watching, what she finds interesting. But when I show her my videos, I'll observe her and see like whenever she gets distracted, whenever she like looks around, or like when I see her tuning out, that's when I know I should change a part of the video too.
She's your focus group. I love that.
Also, like, man, I love the life we're building. She loves the life we're building. Like, this is like what I find like really big and like was important to me when we got married too, is that we both had like the same vision for what we wanted our futures to look like. And a cool part about being young and getting married like in your 20s, mid-20s, is that you're not like set in your ways yet, and you both kind of get to form your characters and your lives around each other, and you guys get to like figure out what you want your future to look like. And I'm really happy that we're aligned with that. And also like one reason we're aligned with what we want our futures to look like is because we're also aligned with our faith and like our eternal perspective on things too.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been really big for us. And although this crazy creator career changes all the time, and we're going out to these events and meeting all these cool people, like I always feel grounded because I have her as well too. And we both, at the end of the day, we get to come back together and talk about our actual, like our reality, you know, and like what's actually most important to us. Because I jump from one thing to another when it comes to like careers. That's why this career is so great for me, because I love like feeling like I'm always progressing. And so she's like the perfect person to handle that kind of life with. So yeah.
Oh, I
love that.
beautiful.
Can we cut that and make that a short so I can show her?
For sure. We're going to go short on hers. And I just like, so as you're saying all this stuff, and I like heard you saying earlier, I just want people to know me. I feel like they don't know me. I feel like they just watch my content because it's viral and it's like smart. I want you to know that that's not true. Like, they are watching for you. And there is something special about you. And you have this calling on your life. You can just see it on people that you meet in the industry. And you're just the type of person that I feel like I know you. And this is the second conversation we've ever had. So I want you to know that even though like you haven't been face front in a lot of your content, you still come through in that content, even if you're not feeling that way. So I just wanted to say that as an encouragement, because I think you are a lot more face forward than you think. And I think people know you a lot better than you think that they do. But I love that, your goal is to just keep pushing in and pressing into that, because I think that's even going to bring you even more success than you've had over the past couple of years.
Yeah, I agree, because I had never met you before, and I just binged all your content as research for this interview, and I just felt you conveyed so much hope in your videos. I feel like, and I'm making generalized statements, but people your age on social media, I get the sense of hopelessness around finance and marriage and relationships. And I just felt such a sense of hope watching your stuff that, hey, it is possible to be financially solvent, to have a plan, to meet a wonderful spouse. And so I felt that message coming through. So I just wanted to encourage you with that. And it felt very magnetic to, like, I wanted to keep watching. So just let that be an encouragement to you, that I think, as she said, more of you is coming through than you realize. And I think that this is just a springboard for your future, because I think hope draws people in because they want to feel hopeful about their finances, about marriage, about their future, that it can all be good. And so I thought that was something that was really unique about you. And I loved the content that showed your beautiful wife as well, and the relationship that you guys had. Just even when you kept that raw footage in that wedding video of you guys talking over finances for a wedding, that's real life.
Yeah.
And I loved the way you guys just interacted in that, and it was just so thoughtful, and talking about what you had heard from people, whether it was a $700 wedding or a $50,000 wedding, and where you might fall and how you guys came into agreement. Like, just that whole process, it was just really sweet to see. And even though you said in the video, like, it's just uncut, I hope you all don't mind. I thought it was great. So you're doing a good job.
Oh, thank you. Honestly, I haven't seen that video in a while, so I got to go watch that back and tell my wife that you thought that.
To talk about one more thing, because we met at a Ramsey influencer event that we were both invited to, and you came up and introduced yourself to me, and we just chatted for a quick bit, because there were a lot of people there that were kind of interviewing to be a Ramsey personality, but there were a lot of us there that were just creators that had been on their content before. And it was such an awesome event, and I think they're going to open it up to the public. So if they do, like, we'll share about it more when they do. But they just gave us all this brand information on how to build a brand and how to do, media interviews, and just gave us all this beautiful free information. But you came up to me, introduced yourself to me. So I can tell that networking is very important to you. And I think sometimes people, when they go to events like that, they get so overwhelmed. They don't know who to talk to. They don't know, like, how to do it. They're like, some people are just trying to get something out of people. And with you, I could just tell that you wanted to make a connection with me. And it took us this long to, like, hey, let's get together and do something. Yeah. But I think those moments are so important because of this creator economy. Like, if you don't have that, if you don't have people that you can talk to, if you don't have people you can exchange with, it gets really lonely and isolating. And the best things I've learned about this industry have not come from watching a video. It's come from, like, that one-on-one connection with creators. So I would love to hear just what that has meant to you, just those networking opportunities and how you approach them and how it's helped your brand and your business grow.
Yeah, I feel like people my age, everyone's, like, too cool to do things and, like, put themselves out there. And I went to that event knowing that I was probably going to be, like, the youngest person there, and that I should just rock with that. And, like, thing is with me, I always feel like I'm an amateur at, like, whatever I'm doing. So even at that event, I'm like, all right, I'm just going to go in like how I actually am. I don't know anything. And if you go in with that mindset, you're not so much thinking about, like, oh, how do I look like amongst these people, or, like, what, like, you're, it's easy to get caught up, like, looking like, how do I appear to everybody right now? Do I look competent? Do I look like I know what I'm doing? But then if you just realize that you don't know what you're doing and just like act as you are, then you become a lot more comfortable. And so for me, when I saw, like, I was looking through the brochure of people, and I didn't know anyone as well too. So you were like interesting to me. So if you're interesting to me and I wanted to talk to you, and like you're something I was willing to, or that I wanted to like get to know and see like what you're doing and like in your area, your YouTube channel, then like I'll just go up because you're genuinely interesting to me. So I don't think people should hold themselves back if there's like someone that's interesting to them, or they want to learn something from someone, then like don't hesitate to just walk up to them.
Yes. And I'm just going to say it's awkward. It is awkward. It is awkward to go up to someone
Ignore that.
you don't know and be like, hi, I'm so-and-so. And sometimes it goes really bad and they're just like, okay. And they don't want to talk to you. But then sometimes it's really lovely and you make a connection. And we've got to hear so much of your story. I think your story is going to be an encouragement and a blessing to people that are here and like, how do I start? What do I do? Like, but what do you do when you get there? Guess what? We never have it figured out. We're constantly learning. And whether you're young or you're old, it's not too late to start. And you can always change things, and you can always, switch gears if you need to switch gears. So I just think you've accomplished so much in just a short amount of time. And I think your flexibility and your willingness to just put yourself out there is a huge part of your success. So I just want I want this to be an encouragement to them to get out of your own way and just like, who cares if you look stupid? That you're probably never going to see that person again or whatever. Like, I just want us to be able to move through those moments instead of letting them define who we are. Because like, just look at this. There's just like a beautiful connection that we've got to have this amazing conversation with you, learn more about you. And now we get to be on the journey with you. And if I would have been too afraid to talk to you, or you would have been too afraid to talk to me, that would have never happened. So like, don't let those moments hold you back, because fear is a liar.
Yes.
You just gotta push through. And there's nothing that like we can't get over. We can get over awkwardness. It happens all the time. We can get over it for sure.
And if you do it enough times, you'll just kind of get numb to it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And I would say, since you've done so many man on the street interviews, you're probably completely numb to awkwardness.
Yeah, that was from my mission.
I love that. I love that you brought that up again, because it's those things that we've done, that we've already done training for parts of this and we don't even know. But like, nothing is wasted. Everything that you've done in your life leads up to the moment that you're at. And so just be like, I'm sure that wasn't the most fun time of your life, getting rejected and people not wanting to talk to you, but you're like, I'm doing this. I'm committed to this because I'm committed to my faith and I'm committed to what this means. And it wasn't wasted. Like, look at, what it set you up for in your career. So if you're in a spot right now, guys, where you're like, why do I have to do this? And why am I going here every day? This is hard and it's challenging. You are growing, you're learning, you're refining, and it's going to help you later on down the road. It's time in the podcast where we talk about our favorite things. We told JC at the beginning, we're like, we do favorite things, and you can bring anything that you want to bring. And that ours are usually products from Amazon, because the only way that this podcast is funded right now is through people shopping our Amazon storefront, which we are just honest about. If you're going to buy something on Amazon, we would love for you to shop through our storefront, and we just share things on here that we love, that we're using all the time. So we'll let you go first.
Damn, let me think. One that I've been grateful for is the not a plug though, but I mean it kind of is a plug. EveryDollar app has been really nice for budgeting.
I've been hearing about EveryDollar a lot.
Yeah, especially because like Mint's gone, and like I know EveryDollar is going to be around for a while, but it's probably just like the simplest way to budget. And I don't know, like people don't think budgeting is like planning. They just think it's like looking at your expenses, but like, nah, EveryDollar gets it right. So I'd recommend that.
EveryDollar, I think that's a great thing. We'll link that down below. It's an app for budgeting, and it makes it really easy. As things get spent, you can just drag them into their categories. And I've heard really good things about it. So if you're looking for a budgeting tool on your phone, we'll link that down in the description box.
Okay. Do you want me to go next?
I don't care. I could go. I'm ready. Okay. So mine, I think I've talked about these before, but I'm going to talk about again because it saved my life this week. I am a dance mom, and dance competition season has started. And it started on Friday. And on Thursday, I started getting that scratchy throat. And I was like, nope, we have a long weekend ahead. We have lots of things to do. We do not have time to be sick. And so I doubled up on my Ollie Immunity elderberry gummies, and the cold never came on. So they have zinc, elderberry, and vitamin C in them. And I take them every day, but I just kind of like doubled up when I felt something coming on. And I did not get sick. And, you know, we've talked about it, Haven, before. The year that everybody got the C, we did not get it because I was taking my immunity vitamins. And I also take their probiotic. And I really like Ollie because I don't have to take their gummies, and they taste good. And they do have some sugar in them. So if you're not into having sugar in your vitamins, I'm sorry. But I never used to take my vitamins, but I take them now because they taste like gummy bears. And you don't have to take them with food. So I put them right by my counter, take them every morning. And they saved me yet again from being taken out from my daughter's first dance competition. And she did amazing. And she would be embarrassed that I told you, but she placed 4th place in her solo out of 33 dancers. And she has never, this is only her 2nd year doing a solo. And last year she only placed like 1 time, and she was like 15th or 14th. So she had the best day. And I was very thankful that I was there and wasn't sick at home. So shout out to Ollie.
Oh my gosh, this is so funny that is yours, because mine is my resistant C vitamin C packet.
Because you were at a volleyball tournament this week.
Because 2 weeks ago, let me tell you, we were at a volleyball tournament. We leave the volleyball tournament, and 9 out of the 11 girls on my daughter's team got the flu. My daughter did not.
She did not.
A bunch of parents did not. And it's because we have these resistant C vitamin C packets. We put it in water. We call it vitamin drink at our house. I make my kids drink one every day, and I do too. And we did not get the flu.
I'm telling you,
when it went around.
C is real, y'all. If y'all don't believe in vitamin C, it is real.
So I love these. They taste good. It looks like a Crystal Light mix that you just mix with water. It has zinc and B vitamins and vitamin D in it, and 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C. And it tastes good, and nobody's tummy gets upset. So that was my favorite thing, because we have been healthy at my house.
Immune system.
It's important. Man, in January, February, and March, have kids. You're just praying every day. Lord, please protect our
True, yeah.
so much stuff to do in spring breaks, and we just can't have anybody sick. It's just like a germ infested when your kids go to school.
It's that time of year.
Yeah, it's that time of year. Well, thanks for playing along for our favorite things.
Thanks.
We know it's kind of an early thing, but we love to include our guests and know what they're loving as well.
Yes,
and I'm taking notes.
We will put all of those links down in the description box. We will also put all the links to where you can find JC on all the platforms in the description box as well. We just want to thank you so much, JC, for taking the time out of your busy schedule to meet with us. We wish you and your wife, Ashley, all the very best. We'll be cheering you on this year as you kind of re-strategize. We'll be watching your long-form content. So we're just so excited to see what you do.
Heck yeah. Thank you so much. This was fun. I really enjoyed this, actually.
Yay! We loved having you. Again, guys, let us know if you enjoyed this interview down in the comments, and who should we interview next. And we will see you next time in the Cypress Room.